ask a very simple question to yourself today, what value can I offer? That start to equate to your what. What we're talking about today is actually an aspect that a lot of people do misunderstand, and they misconstrue it in so many ways, in that they think that somebody's worth is always the financial aspect of it. But they forget to know that your intellectual capacity and capability on how you can then be able to know issues and present them also make people to see you through the lens of what you are worth.
Of course. So when we think about net worth, we often think of finances, we think of your actual material,
Right.
we think of the infrastructure you may have, the investments you may have. But a lot of the time we forget to realize that education and skills development is the biggest investment. And from there we can be able to transform that initial investment, like I like to call the capital of your finances or of your success is based on the skills and the value you initially put out.
And I think the way I've was put it together is quite very important, because she's talking about investment in what we call the human capital, your knowledge, right? Your ability to be able to translate your passions into profit, the ability to learn a skill and turn a talent into a skill and apply effort so that at least value can actually come about. And that way, you can then be able to fetch money because you offer value. So your what is the value you can offer. So if you ask a very simple question to yourself today, what value can I offer? That start to equate to your what. And when you think of what through the lens of what you can offer, it changes the calculus. And what do I mean by calculus here? It changes everything from the perspective of what you have been told to believe to the perspective of what you can do. And if we're talking about belief, a lot of people do believe things that do not add up, and they're either false or not realistic, or because they've learned it from somewhere else. What says you?
That's a great point because a lot of the time, like you say, we hear things, whether it's from the grapevine or from social media,
Right.
and that may or may not align with reality. So when we hear these things, it's important to think of it like a coffee filter, right? A bunch of things come in, and then based on our values and what we actually see as real, then we continue to filter them out until we get the coffee which we drink. And in this scenario, it's the nourishment of the brain and the impact based ideas.
I love that. Nourishment of the brain. So now let's take it back to the reality, right? A lot of people in the world today, and I love the fact that you brought up social media, which we always bring up, but in this case, you're talking about it from the perspective of people trying to get fed in from what social media gives them, rather than them feeding social media be the way they want. And that have actually changed not just people's thinking to believe things that do not even exist, but to start to think that they need to chase social media rather than social media chasing them. And what social media chasing them, what they put in there in the way they want, so that at least social media can take it forward, not them always absorbing. This has brought issues. So if you were to tell somebody today on how he or she should become the CEO of his or her life, what would you say?
That's actually a good acronym. I like that. CEO of your own life, right?
Exactly, right.
So another thing I wanted to mention was you talked about regarding like your explore page and social media and whatnot. For instance, let's say there's two people, right? You might be living in the exact same house. Let's just say twins, right? One twin, their social media explore page is maybe full of violent, gory content. That's just not pleasant, right? And another twin has content that's full of scholarship, job interview preparation, internships, and all of that. And they live in the same house, same Wi-Fi, same IP address, and you're probably wondering why are their two feeds different?
Right.
It's because of what you subscribe to. If you consistently subscribe to uplifting narratives, then your social media feed will reflect that. And if you don't, then it'll also reflect it as well. So my piece of advice to become the CEO of your own life is it starts with you. It starts with what you consume and how you consume, and also a matter of having that social media literacy to understand that not everything that glistens is gold, and someone else's reality does not necessarily mean that you have to achieve what they have in the exact
Right.
same way.
Good. I love the way you put it. That then means the attraction of anything in life depends on what you've subscribed to. And so if you subscribe to wrong narratives, you will always be with wrong narratives. If you subscribe to the attitude of always feeling let down, you will be let down. But if you subscribe to the attitude of winning, you will win. Even if, when you fail, you will see it as part of the winning. And therefore, what we subscribe to, whether it is wrong narratives or whether it's wrong beliefs that we need to sit and wait till manna falls from heaven, that we don't need to put in effort, or a wrong narrative that, oh, even if you do it, you will fail, that those who have succeeded never have to work hard. Those are wrong narratives, what I call false narratives. And so when you look through the lens of positivity, the lens of self-belief, the lens of the ability to understand that we have to do it right to get it right, you will always move forward.